Hello again, Struck Club. Today I will be showing you a poison and shock oriented build for the Forged class. It is a hybrid build, it's using some of the bro skills, it's also using a bit of the range skills. And it is all about stacking a lot of chance to poison, a lot of chance to shock, stacking some bolts on shock, and using the poison Bane stuff to maximize the poison compatibility with this build. It's pretty nice and you can kind of use it even without having the poison stuff leveled up. You can use poison dart to replace the skill I've decided to put for poisoning. As the name of the build suggests, this will be a poison and whitening oriented build. That's why we're using the poison relic weapon. The skill points you're seeing here are not the best ones, so you would be seeing some changes in those numbers. On your left hand side you would be seeing a setup when not using Venomous Maw, not using this spider, which looks like this. It's like a ghost train skill, and on the other side, on the right hand side, you would be seeing a setup that uses Venomous Maw. I would suggest to go for maxing out Egg Clusters, maxing out Arachnid Army, which you're seeing a video at the moment of those 8-legged allies. Maxed out, you would get 90% chance to summon those spiders, and you can get all the way to 12, which is 2 base plus 10 from the 10 levels invested in here. Find a balance for spread of death. If you want to proc those more often, invest into the chance to proc them. If you want them to do more damage, invest into them. Decide for yourself before putting points here whether you want to proc more often spread of death or just to have them do more damage. Here, if you think you would be using Venomous Maw often, I would strongly suggest to max out the cooldown. It could get it from 8 seconds base to 4 seconds, which is a 50% cooldown reduction in total. If you think you want more damage for it, put some points in there. I would suggest not putting points here for crit chance while Bane is active, unless you have any way to prolong the duration of the relic weapon. There are items that could give you that, and there's also items that could, I think, modify the cooldown. So think carefully whether you want to rely on this phase, on this miasma phase. It can also spread to the enemies when maxed out here. So this is a poison field around you. It gives you 5% damage and your allies standing in it. It increases the chance to poison, and it just is a great burst of damage for bosses and elites. This is what makes it spread to enemies. I personally prefer not centering the build around miasma. I don't think it's good enough to center it around miasma for the way this build is made. So decide for yourself though, don't take my suggestions as must do things that way. For the skill point allocation, we are heavily relying on the bro skills. Even though it's a hybrid build, we do need to max out rapid strike because it increases the damage of Cyclone and all other skills here, including itself. So first it's giving itself some damage, then it's giving itself and all other skills extra damage. It's a good skill, especially when you're leveling up early on. You might find it very helpful for a close range skill. As soon as you put, I think, 10 points here, you can start maxing out Cyclone mode. Find a balance. If you think you need more damage for Cyclone mode and more movement speed, max it first. But at least put maybe 1 point here for that crit chance. And of course put 1 point here. Just to have that, that extra venting capability. So put few points here, then 1 here, then as soon as you can put 1 here and 1 here, and then start maxing out Cyclone mode. Eventually later on you have to decide for yourself. whether you want to use ramming robot as a damage skill, and whether you need the damage reduction in melee combat. If you just want to use it as a utility, that's what the skill looks like. It helps you move faster and it helps you just escape tough situations. So if you want to use it as an escape and movement skill only, just don't max it out. Otherwise, I suggest only maxing it out. It will give you some nice damage reduction as well. So ideally, everything here will be maxed out. 5 skills, 12 points each, 60 points, which leaves you with 40 to spend. By the end you reach a level 100. So, here I would strongly suggest maxing out rapid fire if you want to play the build like me, and then later on moving on to maxing poison dart. It's a great skill if you're not using venomous maw, and even if you just use it as a passive, it gives you pet skill and attack damage bonus. So the spiderling setup, the spiderlings from here would benefit from this damage increase. So think about this synergy and why it might be good on a Bane build. Additionally, you might want to not use Cold Launch once Vortex Bomb is maxed out. You might think you have enough Steam Dissipation and do something like this. So you could have Venomous Maw and Poisonous Dart. Or you can even do stuff like using servo driven uppercut, so just decide. Maybe you can even use rapid strike if you like it, or shotgun blast. There's many ways to make the build your own and use it however you like. I just use this as a one pointer, so invest at least 1 point here first. Put some points here, maybe I think you need 1 point here or 5 points here to unlock this one. Get it as a one pointer and then continue on spending points in this tree and eventually start spending points into poison dart when you think it's time to get it. I suggest rushing poison dart though, even if it's just one pointer. If you don't have the poison stuff yet, if you don't have Fatal Ectawa, Venomous Maw, if you don't have Venomous Maw, use poison dart until you can get it. Shotgun Blast is a great alternative choice if you don't want to max out rapid fire. It gives you heat dissipation, and eventually I would suggest spending the leftover points into Shotgun Blast. Alternatively, you could start maxing out Slug Shot instead of rapid fire, but it will take a lot of points invested to be able to even unlock it. So maybe for this build it's not good. Don't take my suggestions as a must do it this way kind of a thing. Just decide for yourself, maybe make the build your own. For the pet skills, I do not have the ideal setup. First of all, I will tell you what the ideal setup would be. The ideal setup would be Screeching Stun, Healing Friendship, Battle Cry, and for the auras, there are two good choices. One of those for a build that uses Cyclone, such as this one, would be Movement Speed Increase aura. The other one for any build, even for this one, would be the 15% increased crit chance. This build receives 20% crit chance from servo driven uppercut to melee skills, including Cyclone mode. So look at my speed now with Cyclone mode with the movement speed aura. If I were to replace the movement speed aura with per se block chance, you see it is kinda slower, so I do think this helps, especially if you get items such as there are items that give you increased movement speed for 3 seconds, like 10% chance on killing an enemy to get 10% movement speed for 3 seconds, and this goes very well with the Cyclone mode build. That's why I think running partner is not a bad choice, but Deadlier Strikes is also a nice choice. I personally prefer running partner for this build, but for bosses I would, of course, if I had it, equip Deadlier Strikes. For bosses, either put the block chance or crit strike when you can. You can even try using the movement speed on bosses where you would need the movement. And until you get healing friendship, screeching stun, of course using defensive posture is not a bad choice, which is what I'm doing. So that's it from me in regards to the pet skills. Gear, there are two things you need to make sure you have if you want my setup. First of all, it's a poison or chance to shock weapon, and a chance to shock or poison offhand. So either shock weapon, poison offhand, poison weapon, shock offhand. For the cannon, poison or shock, or anything else if you can find either of those. Then stuff like increased poison duration is nice, but make sure you're not sacrificing too much crit chance or crit damage to get it. Get crit chance to like 30, 35, maybe 40%. Also keep in mind that you get 20% crit chance to melee skills from servo driven uppercut, so find a good number of crit chance that works for you and then focus on crit damage for the rest. You need additional bolts fired on shock, so if you can find items with that, put them. You do benefit from this, and it will make a great synergy with the Bane projectiles, which is called Spread of Death. So Spread of Death with bolts, very nice combination. There are things that modify Cyclone or that modify other of your skills, so go for something that gives you such bonuses. Things that give you steam per second dissipation are also nice. See, this one even gives damage to ramming robot, but it's physical damage, it doesn't have chance to poison, so it's not doing much for me. But yeah, try to get something that's modifying any skill that you think you use and need that bonus. And try to get as much crit chance and crit damage by any means, but try not to sacrifice too much of your health and defense if you're having troubles with that. You can even always go for a shield, but then you would have to sacrifice either the shock or the poison, unless you find a shield that gives you some of those mods, which I don't think is possible, but a shield with bolt chance would be possible, so keep that in mind. Additional bolt fired on shock. So yeah, find something that works for you in regards to how much crit chance you need, and then get as much crit damage as you can afterwards. For the pets, I suggest a crit chance, crit damage tack, and the bloodburst stack can give you those, and even some extra bleed to stack with your poison and shock. Cover for the pet, you can go for something that gives very high block chance, even if it's not too high of a level, and if it has HP, even better. In regards to playing the build, it's pretty straightforward. You have few skills that are main for the build, and that would be the poison mole for extra poisoning, the spin to win skill, which is called Cyclone, which is very nice when the enemies swarm around you. You can even use a ramming robot to rush into a group of enemies right before spamming Cyclone. You can also use ramming robot to finish enemies that are trying to run away from you or that are just lined up perfectly for that charging strike. You also use two skills to dissipate your heat, to vent your heat, and this will be the cold launch and the vent vortex bomb. Vortex bomb is a melee skill, so it's benefiting from the melee bonuses, so you can even use it for damage, whereas cold launch is a nice skill for burning the enemies if you want to stack poison, shock and burning, and from the pets and bleeding to have all four different elements on the enemies. There's also rapid fire. It's great for killing off enemies from a long distance. It's also great for doing nice damage to single target. Thanks for watching this video, folks. If you've enjoyed it, you can let me know by hitting that button, and if you want to be notified for future content that I'm uploading, you can hit the subscribe button as well. For more Torchlight Frontiers content, you can check the different playlists I have for builds for each of the classes, and in the description below this video you can find links to my Twitch, Twitter, Mixer, and Facebook pages. You can also see those at the end of this video in the final sequence. Thank you again for watching this video and keep it cool folks. Until next time.